Hello, how are you? Let's look into the essay writing on the last part of an essay, which is the conclusion. We know by definition that the conclusion is the last part of an essay, but today we want to broaden our definition of conclusion. Okay, what is the conclusion, and also why does it matter in essay writing? Do you earn full marks when you write good conclusion, or does it contribute to the total mark? Oh yes, it does. No wonder we are looking into that. So let's broaden our definition by saying the conclusion is intended to help the reader understand. So it helps the reader to understand. So it is intended to help the reader so that the reader will understand why your composition matters. Okay, why your composition matters, why your story matters. Okay, so this is number one that we are looking, or we have to highlight in the definition. Also, that a conclusion is not a summary. It is not a summary. A conclusion is not a summary, or it is not a restatement of your research. No, it is actually the last part, or it is a development that leads to the end of the story. So the conclusion is a development, that leads to the end of the story. Okay, so today we want to look at different types of conclusions, because some of the stories are inconclusive. Doesn't mean that they are not concluded, but they are inconclusive, which means the story ends, but as a reader you are given the opportunity or the chance to have an imaginary mindset as to what has happened or the aftermath of the story. Okay, so this is what we want to look into today. But let's look at the importance of good conclusion before we look at the types of conclusion. Let's look at the importance of good conclusion. All right, let's look at the importance, then we'll end on the types of conclusion. One might pick and say, this is the way I'm going to end my story. All right, now let's look at the importance. So I'm going to write importance of good conclusion. Okay, there you are. Right, number one, representation, the last word of the issue to raise in your paper. Number two, you have to bring about thoughts and convey them so that to the study, or also demonstrating the importance of your ideas. So let's start with the first one, demonstrating your ideas. Demonstrating the idea. Okay, so we know that for a story to be jotted down or to be drafted and to be written, we understand that there is an idea that makes the story, okay, which we call the storyline or the theme. So in your conclusion, the theme is not diverted. The theme shouldn't be diverted. It has to stay the same. For example, you are writing a story about an unknown land, or a land which is to be discovered. Or maybe you're telling us of a mere story of an individual. Him or her will be the main character in the story. So how does the story end? The theme should not be diverted. So theme shouldn't be diverted. It's to stay the same. So it is very important in the conclusion, because we are now seeing now the theme coming, bring about all the ideas now, and that's what we call demonstrating the idea. But remember this, the theme shouldn't be diverted. Also, we have to also look into another importance of conclusion is that you are now giving us an aftermath. Okay, it gives an aftermath. aftermath. The word aftermath in English simply means the ending is not good. But in this case, we want to look it into a balanced way. That when you look at the aftermath, we are looking at something that has started bad and then it ended good. Or something that has started good and it ended bad. Okay, so the ending, the aftermath, the ending, how does it end? Is it a good ending or is it a bad ending? So this is important for the reader to know. Is it a good or is it a bad ending? Was it a somber ending or was it a joyous ending? All right. So maybe it ended in tears or sorrow. We want to know. Maybe it was a wedding which never happened, or it was a flight that never reached the destination. Obviously, that means we lost lives there. Or maybe it was someone who was in the hospital. Then the story goes on, and at the end, we are seeing that that person got out of the hospital well. That means it was a joyous aftermath. All right. So remember the word aftermath in English dictionary, the Webster English dictionary, it speaks of something that doesn't end good. Maybe it was a volcano, or maybe it was a hurricane. It means that's the aftermath of the hurricane. But we want to look into it in a more in-depth analysis, that this means only the ending. So you can actually change it. Remember, English words, they change their meaning according to how they are used in the story or in the sentence. All right. So this is the importance. Number one, demonstrating the idea. Number two, the aftermath. So these are the two important points in concluding a story. Okay, so this is how you have to conclude a story in this way. All right, let's look at examples of conclusions. I'm going to teach you on 2 examples of conclusions as well. All right, types of conclusions. All right, maybe it is a comic one. Comic. You can also end the story maybe in a maybe we can call it a sad or sombre. Sad or sorrow. It was a sorrow ending, or maybe it was a joyous ending. So this is, all these are ways in which you can conclude your story. So these are the types of conclusion. Maybe it's a comic ending. It ended maybe as a joke, or it ended as sorrow, or it ended as joyous. So we are going to talk about conclusions later on again, but for now this is what we want to look into. Thank you very much for joining.